What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Alejandro's Engineered Lifestyle. My name is Alejandro Mendoza. I'm a mechanical engineer working in aerospace, also recovering from an Achilles tear. So you may notice some of these clips are a little old, but that's because they were shot last season. So in order to prepare for this upcoming season, which I will very much be riding during, we are going to be manipulating these, our suspension components, on the KTM 890 Duke R. One thing to keep in mind is that this is not a custom suspension setup. This is how to take the Duke back to its recommended factory settings, depending on what kind of rider or what kind of style you're riding for. I'm going to be starting today with the low speed compression damping on the rear shock absorber here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our flathead, you see the internal there is our setting, and we're going to turn that all the way clockwise. So from there we're going to turn counterclockwise to the corresponding number of clicks on the recommended compression dampening table found on page 153 of the owner's manual. So for example, I'm taking it back 10 clicks. The clicks are subtle, but you should be able to feel them. Moving on, we're going to do high-speed compression dampening on the rear shock absorber with a 17 millimeter. Having a pivoting ratchet definitely helps with not interfering with the chassis there. Keep in mind that the 17 millimeter is interior of the fitting. If you see, the greater fitting there is not to be loosened. There's compressed nitrogen in there, and you're definitely going to want to make sure that you do not touch that. So turning all the way clockwise is how to reset this, and then turning back 1.5 full turns is going to be the recommended setting regardless of riding style. So keep that in mind. So after finishing mine off with another half turn here, we're going to move on, and we're going to move to the other side, rider's left. So from here we're going to be adjusting the spring preload of the shock absorber. What we're going to be doing is taking a 5 millimeter Allen key and turning counterclockwise all the way. You won't need to force this. We're not going to be really paying attention to clicks unless you really want to know what the previous owner or what the factory set it at. From there, we're going to be adjusting to our table recommendation of 5.5 turns. And as I'm doing this, you can actually see the preload coming off the spring there. The shock absorber has an indicator that is a white band. So starting here, going clockwise 5.5 turns, you'll notice that the preload increases and that white band becomes visible. One thing I noticed about the previous owner on this bike, they had the preload set very low, and thus the bike squatted a lot when accelerating. With the stiffer preload in the sport setting, I actually noticed a lot better hookup and power distribution. Ultimately, this made the ride much better in my opinion. And one thing I'm going to be looking into is spring rate on top of the preload. That's going to be a future video, but moving right along here, we're going to be adjusting the rebound dampening of the shock absorber. And to get started, we are going to be taking it all the way clockwise there, as you saw, and then from there spinning counterclockwise to 12 clicks is the recommended sport setting in the manual. So pro tip here, go slowly, use as minimal force as possible, and that way you'll feel those clicks. They are subtle, but you will feel them if you do that. If you've not bored your dog or your kids out of their minds, you're not doing this tutorial properly. So moving on to the front fork here, the WP Apex suspension system. This is a little easier to adjust, no tools required here. So moving up on the fork, starting with the rider's left hand side, that is the compression dampening of the fork. So what we're going to be doing is taking the white adjuster clockwise as far as it'll go. No need to force it here. I'm using very minimal force again. And then from there we're going to be turning counterclockwise to our desired compression damping setting. Via the table on page 149, the sport setting is just 4 clicks. So that is what I opted with. And though I've not got many miles on it, feels pretty good thus far. Definitely going to be doing finer adjustment at a later date. So moving to the right side of the fork here, we are going to be adjusting the rebound setting, and that will be done via turning the red adjuster clockwise as far as it will go. That'll be bottoming it out, and then turning counterclockwise to the page 150 table indicated 10 clicks for the sport setting. So again, not many miles on these settings, unfortunately. This is just prior to me getting injured, but the bike feels great since I took it out just recently. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy. I'm so looking forward to this upcoming season and putting out more content for you guys. All right, please leave a like if this helped you out, and consider subscribing. Thanks.